Hello and welcome to Dr. VGP Talk Show.
In this segment, we are going to spotlight on a very renowned artist, Somesh Mathur, Pandit Somesh Mathurji. And Panditji, it's my honor, privilege, and I don't know, my excitement is beyond the sky talking with you.
I'm so thrilled to be here with you, Vasavi, and it's really a privilege and an honor to be featured on your show and to be speaking with you and speaking with your audience, esteemed audience, I'm sure.
Yes, of course.
So it's really a privilege.
Mother, do you think they'll try to break my bones? Ooh, mother, should I build a wall?
Sir, this spotlight program is to tell the story in a unique way so people will understand the journey of an artist or a person of achievement. Then they can follow that path or take inspiration from that. Certainly, you are one of those icons of music industry.
You're being kind. Thank you so much. You're very kind.
I heard your song, sir. You sing in Hindi and also English, and you are also a lyricist. You compose and write your own songs.
Yes. Well, my journey has been into music has been since childhood because I was born into a family of musicians.
Wonderful.
And both my parents are my gurus in Indian classical music.
Yes.
Hindustani classical, what we call. And since childhood, since the time I was born, I guess, maybe the time I was in my mother's womb, I have been exposed to music of the highest caliber and exposed to musicians of the highest caliber, pandits, ustads. And because of my sister and cousins, on a parallel track also exposed to rock and roll.
Yes.
And so it's been a journey which has been really quite enjoyable and fulfilling. And The thing about, in my situation, the thing about Indian music and non-Indian music, should I say, or Western music, is
Yes.
that it's like two railway tracks,
Yes.
and they might or might not meet, but they do get along.
Yes. I just want to share one experience with you on that. I watched a movie called Shankarabharanam. It was made by very renowned movie director, South movie director, K. Vishwanathan. And he usually produces movies and directs movies which depicts the stories of the artists and their struggle and culture and all that. So in this particular movie, the classical maestro is actually sleeping or taking a nap, and the next door the Western music was going so loud, and then he gets upset and then talking to them about, you are just screeching like tires and all that stuff. So what these artists say, like, what do you know about Western music? And then they start singing, and the reason I'm saying you create that balance between Western music and classical music. We are going to talk about that, but this is kind of a introduction to that. So he takes those notes and he sings the same song what they are singing in Carnatic music.
Right.
So
right,
then they
right.
are stunned, like, they stand like stones.
Yes.
So
yes. Well, it's like this, that the fundamental difference in Indian music and Western music is that Indian music is all about melody, and it's melodic. It's because it has its origins in classical music all around, which is Hindustani and Carnatic. So therefore, it has a certain meditative value attached to the music itself. In contrast, Western music has its origins in harmony, and although I mean the Western pop music is all about melody as well,
yes,
but it has a huge backing of excuse me. It has a huge backing of harmony, which is backing the vocals or the instrument which is playing the melody. And that's the fundamental difference in the two genres of music and their respective dynamics. Be that as it may, there is always a scope to, if not merge, align the two forms of music in a way which is honest, has an element of integrity to it, and also has an appeal of sensibility towards the listener,
yes,
the audience of that particular music. And since I also pursue global music, which is a blend of various genres of music from all over the world, but at the same time, I would say the core of my music really is melody.
yes,
And although Indian music has very, very evolved and advanced time signatures, what we call tal,
yes,
which no other genre or form of music anywhere else in the world has. Most of the rhythms which we hear all over the world are like 2/2 or 4/4 beats. We have very complex time signatures, and since childhood we are groomed into those time signatures, into that vocation of the rhythm pattern. And so that's the fundamental difference in our two genres of music. I love both.
yes,
And I pursue both, should I say.
yeah,
And it's just that even within these genres, I have certain appeals and maybe some sensibilities because of my conditioning and grooming and training in both the forms, and of course one's respective DNA
Yes.
towards
Yes.
as to what appeals to one.
Yes.
So in that respect, sometimes I tend to be choosy. But one thing is for sure, I do like to listen to stuff which appeals to me.
Yes. Talking about appeal, I witnessed Zakir Hussain ji performing in the full moon on banks of Ganges one time.
Oh, wow.
And it was like a mesmerizing experience. I
Yes,
cannot just get rid of that from my mind.
Yes.
I don't want to, but
Yes.
but when the reason I'm just sharing this, when I saw you first, I thought like, oh, he must be vocal Zakir Hussain.
Oh, so kind of you. Ustad Zakir Hussain is a living legend.
That aura,
He's,
aura is there.
That's
with you.
very kind of
Yeah.
you. That's so sweet and kind of you. Ustad Zakir Hussain, or Zakir Bhai as we lovingly call him, is a one of a kind living legend on planet Earth.
Yes.
And
So do you, sir.
Is very kind of you, so sweet of you. And what Zakir Bhai has done towards Indian music, Indian percussion, is truly unparalleled. And I don't think there may be too many, not just tabla players, but excuse my kharash.
Yes.
But not just tabla players, but there might not be too many percussionists all
Yes.
over the world who
Yes.
have his talent, his caliber, and his achievements.
Yes. Yes.
And of course his contribution towards Indian music is I don't have words to describe, but it's truly unparalleled.
It stands still in time.
It does, and the beauty of it is that Ustad Zakir Hussain is constantly evolving, in spite of being what he is, in spite of being a living legend. One sees that he's also a brilliant scholar and seeker. So it would seem, and that's the beauty of a great, or one of the greatest artists ever.
I think that's the common trait between artists or any high achievers in any field. They are continuously seeking new ways of expressing themselves and reading a lot and improving themselves. I see you also doing the same thing. And you just mentioned, that's wonderful. I mean, Abhimanyu's story, like, he learned the art of war from his mother's womb. So that is scientifically proven. And you coming from such environment of musicians and music, it must be a very bliss-filled environment for you. And were there any challenges when you were a child learning the ways of the trade?
Well, actually, I think I might be around 3 years of age, and my mother, who's my first guru, Vidushi Srimati Sudha Mathurji, she's a violin virtuoso and a disciple of Pandit VG Jog Sahab. And so she has been taking music classes since even before I was born. And she must have, she has this huge natural gift of being a mind-blowing and outstanding teacher. And so she has been taking music classes since, I guess, even before I was born. So I was born into that whole universe, that atmosphere of music and music teaching.
Yes.
And she has produced over 100, maybe 200 Sangeet Visharads, graduates in Indian vocal classical music till date, I'm sure. She's of course now on the aged side, should I say. And so that environment which I was brought up in, by default made me listen to classical compositions, to various rags, and so it's like, it's there in your subconscious, and it keeps getting drilled into your brain every day. So she's teaching rag sarang, a chota khayal or a bada khayal, then that's going into my brain by default, even if I'm not sitting in her class, and even if I'm in the house, it's going in.
Yes.
So that conditioning has been happening to me since childhood, and and then of course I got my Sangeet Visharad as well, thanks to her.
Yes.
When I was doing my MBA, and so they were kind enough to give me a special permission of sitting for the Sangeet Visharad exam, and I guess I did pretty okay.
Yes, you did wonderful. Yeah.
I yet remember my choice rag for the final exam was rag Shuddh Sarang, which is a morning rag, and it was a challenge, especially the theory part.
Yes.
Because one has to kind of remember the life history, the case history of great Pandits and Ustads who have contributed towards Indian classical, and one has to write that.
Yes.
And then of course one also has to write notations, sargam, stans in a classical compositions in text form in the exam. So that is fine, of course, but yes, remembering the life history and the biographies of great Pandits and Ustads has to be kind of mugged up.
Yes.
So you have to mug it up and then go and reproduce on paper.
Yes. Have you experimented with any other variations of classical music, like Carnatic or something else? Hindustani. I mean, you are an expert in Hindustani. So,
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say I have collaborated with
Okay.
Carnatic classical musicians, instrumentalists,
Okay.
and they bring a completely different universe
Yes.
to one's music, which is very refreshing.
Yes.
And in fact, in one of my compositions, we had one very accomplished artist, and she plays the Saraswati Veena,
Okay.
and she played Carnatic. I think, I'm not sure which rag, maybe Hamsadhwani, I'm not sure, on one of my compositions,
Okay.
which was actually a dance song,
I see.
and she did a brilliant job. And so those kind of collaborations have happened in the past.
Okay.
And it's sometimes it's a challenge, sometimes it's always fun.
Yes.
I have to say.
Yes. Yes.
But it's sometimes
more
it can
than
be a
fun,
challenge.
it's a bliss.
Yes. Well, it's blissful when the works are ready
Yeah.
for release.
Yes.
Then there is a certain degree of satisfaction.
Yes.
There's a certain degree of fulfillment.
Yes. Have you done any jugal bandis?
Where I did an album. I had the privilege and honor of doing an album with Asha Bhosleji.
Okay.
It's called Asha, a brand new album, in which, of course, there are several vocal parts of mine. But it was basically conceived and produced by me. And one of the popular songs on the album is Aaj Jaane Ki Zidd Na
Yes.
Karo, which,
Yes. We were talking about that.
you were telling me it's one of your favorite tunes.
Yes, it
favorite
aches
songs.
my heart
Yes.
each time I listen to that.
Yes.
It's not. It's about love, romance, longing,
Yes.
and more about that. It's a divinity.
Yes.
It's like trying to merge with the soul to soul type of
Yes,
thing.
yes.
And you are explaining that to me it is beautiful how you explained that to me.
Well, it's a Geet Ghazal kind of a music genre, and uh, originally made popular by another living legend, Farida Khanamji,
Kanamji, yes.
who in recent past since a couple of years has become a dear friend.
Yes.
Should I say someone I look up to? All of us do.
Yes.
And we do get to speak on the phone from time to time, and we've been, wanting to do some collaborations together. We did do one collaboration on a song which was conceived in a company with my friend Ashish Rego and myself, and this song was with 100 women artists, achievers, composers, singers from around the globe, and it did really well. And it starts with Farida Khanamji's vocals.
Yes.
So we have done a small collaboration, but something hopefully more established and a longer duration would be great to do with her.
Yeah.
So Ajani Ki Zid Na Karo is a song which is actually a conversation between two lovers, or a conversation between how should I say, the supreme, the divine, and oneself.
Yes.
Or a conversation with oneself also. So it's a beautiful tune, and I just happened to have this idea, and it was bounced off Asha ji, and she loved the music I was weaving around this song and the other songs on the album, and she took it up as a challenge, and that's her greatness.
Yes.
We spent almost 3.5 years on the album, making of the album.
Wow.
And even on the days when she was not, her vocal dubbing was not in the studio, she used to come to the studio just to enjoy the music and the ambience and everything. And it was hugely successful commercially and critically. So that was a great experience, one of the finest and one of the greatest and one-off experiences of my life, I have to say, especially in my musical journey.
You also collaborated some works are going to with Anup Jalota ji.
We are at present working on an album together, which is 4 of us. Anup ji, my close friend and partner Ashish Rego, myself, and one more Grammy-winning artist. It's a album which belongs to the new age genre of music, and we've just embarked upon it, and I'm hoping that in the next couple of months it should be ready for release. So let's see how it goes, and I'm hoping that since I'm a Grammy voting member and a Grammy,
you were talking about you were selected 5 times.
Yes, 5 of my entries have been selected in the last 5 years, but we are looking forward to a nomination and hopefully an award.
Maybe you will be getting an Oscar.
Well, thank you so much. So kind of you. I'm sure your wishes will truly culminate and fructify.
Yes.
And yes, so this is an album in a new age genre, which we are working on, and we've already kind of done 3 tracks, vocals, and it's sounding pretty good. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Let's take a pause and go back to your music journey. You started as a classical singer, and then what motivated you or inspired you to switch to little bit to Western?
Actually, Western, like I said, Western music has always been a part of my life.
Yes.
Just like how I was exposed to Indian classical, I was exposed to rock and roll, and Broadway music and philharmonic and jazz. I love jazz, by the way.
Yes.
And in fact, one of my albums, Time Stood Still, is a collaboration with one of the finest keyboard players and jazz artists of the United States of America. And it's always been, like I said, it's parallel tracks, which might or might not meet, but they just get along.
Yes. Jazz is one of my favorites too. And is there any influence on you Beatles songs, and do you have any influence?
Beatles is my all-time favorite band.
Yeah.
All time.
Yes.
Closely followed with Pink Floyd.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Someshji, I noticed there is a lot of Sufi style poetry in your lyrics.
Yes.
Is that my assumption, or you do?
Well, I love Sufi poetry.
Yeah.
Because it has a certain element, a core of element of divinity to it.
Yes.
At least in intent, I'm sure, from the poet's point of view. And also it's very creative. Also it's very versatile.
Yes.
So Sufi lyrics are rather, compared to any other kind of lyrics, Sufi lyrics are rather easy to compose and produce in various genres of the world. And I think that's one reason why Sufi poetry is so popular, even in the Western world,
Yes.
not just in the Indian subcontinent. And there have been some great poets
Yes.
who are like saints, actually,
Yes.
like Kabir, Rumi, Bulle Shah, etc.
Yes.
And they were actually saints who wrote Sufi poetry.
Yes.
And they wrote in so many languages,
Yes.
not just Persian or Urdu or Hindi or Purbi or, so many different, or Turkish, or so many different languages. As it's a very versatile, I feel it's a very versatile
Yes.
form of poetry.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was listening to your Hallelujah song, and it was really quite touching, and it's between love and devotion,
Yes.
and it's quite nicely delivered.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I think that's one of my favorites of yours.
Thank you so much. So
Yeah.
kind of you.
Yeah.
It's done fairly well.
Yeah.
The video has also got over 1 million views
Okay.
on YouTube, and the song is, in fact, a lot of my Grammy voting friends, the fraternity, were quite disappointed this year that the song got selected for the Grammy Awards but didn't get nominated. And a lot of them, hundreds of them, wrote to me saying that they were quite shocked and surprised that it didn't qualify for a Grammy nomination. But that's life, and one moves on, and
So, Mishji, it's not that it's the time is coming. You are not only going to be nominated, you are going to win, and that will go into Oscar nomination as well.
Thank you so much.
And we will
so
see you.
kind of you. So kind of you. I'm sure coming from you, it's going to be the ultimate truth.
No, it's all God's grace, of course. I have this question about, there are hundreds of thousands of musicians out there. And to be an elite, it might be quite a journey. It's a steep climbing on the mountain. And for doing that, you have to create your own mark. And you have done that very gracefully. I can see that.
So kind of you.
Yeah. And so I see that in all these, so many artists, so many singers. And you are a composer, you are a lyricist, and you are a soulful singer. And how difficult it was in the music industry when you started this journey. I mean, personal thing apart, but when you come into the commercial world.
Yes. Well, the thing is that there's a story to this. When I was in second year undergraduation in business management, I decided that I'll take music up as a profession. And I wrote to my parents about that, this decision of mine. And I was in the hostel, and my parents thought maybe I'm going through some emotional turmoil kind of a thing. So within the next 2 or 3 days, they came to see me.
Okay, maybe had like life crisis.
Yeah, if I was okay.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm fine. I just wrote to you because, I just thought I want to do this. And they said, okay, you finish your studies, like, the typical Indian philosophy of parents.
I can relate to that.
Yes. So I finished my graduation, and then I thought I'll get into music full time. And I started getting performances. In fact, in second year, at the age of 19, I did my first professional concert at the Sangeet Research Academy in Kolkata. Thanks to my father, who's my second guru, Pandit Somesh Mathur, and his close friend. So my taking music as a profession and the challenges, as you mentioned, etc. There's an interesting story behind it. And I decided in my second year of undergraduation, when I was doing my business management, that I'll take music up as a profession. So I wrote to my parents and from the hostel.
Yeah.
And within the next 2 or 3 days, they came to see me, thinking that maybe I'm going through some kind of a
crisis.
Yeah, or turmoil, or
Yeah.
So I said I'm fine. I'm okay. I'll finish graduation, and then I'll take it up professionally.
Yes.
Which is what most Indian parents want, right?
Yes. We did the same thing with our children.
Yes, I'm sure. So I finished graduation, and I had started performing concerts during my undergraduation. In fact, in my second year of undergraduation, I performed my first ever professional concert at the Sangeet Research Academy in Kolkata. Thanks to my father, who's my second guru, late Pandit Somesh Mathur, and his very, very close friend, also a legend, Pandit Vijay Kumar Kichluji. And Kichlu Saab was the director of Sangeet Research Academy. He invited me to perform in front of all the ustads and pandits in the audience.
Yes.
At the age of 19, I was performing at the SRA, and it was an unforgettable experience, surreal, I would say. And so I had started performing then. But life is, life and the universe has its own sense of humor.
Yes.
And my parents said, oh, you've done business management graduation. Why don't you do MBA? Now, once your studies are done, then you can do whatever you want. I wasn't very keen, to be honest. So I applied for a few top institutes.
Yes.
And I got admission.
Wonderful.
At FMS.
Okay.
And so I thought to myself, now I'm stuck. What do I do? So I was pretty adamant that I'm not joining. But my father I think he knew me fairly well, and a very intelligent man. So one day when I was doing riyaz, practicing, he sat with me and started playing tabla. And in between, we took a little bit of a break, and he said to me, listen, why don't you join, MBA? And if you don't like it, leave it.
Yeah.
How does it matter? And he knew that which even I didn't at that time, he knew that when I take up something,
you finish it.
I take it to its logical conclusion.
Yes.
So sure enough, I got swayed. Yes, I got swayed, and I joined MBA, and then My parents were very, very supportive
Mm-hmm.
of me, and every weekend I used to wriggle off for a concert. And naturally my faculty didn't know, or they would throw me out,
Mm.
wasting a seat,
Yes.
kind of a thing, you know. So that happened. Of
Yeah.
course, in the final semester in MBA, I got caught. I was performing in Jaipur,
Mm.
and my economics professor was also in Jaipur at the same time, and my concert must have featured in the newspaper the next day.
Mm.
So when I came back to the faculty, he summoned me in a very discreet manner,
Okay.
and he placed the newspaper in front of me. Is this you? So I was stunned for a second.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to respond.
Yeah.
I mean, I got caught, right?
Yeah.
So I just pleaded with him that, sir, please keep it to yourself. It's my final semester. Let me, go through it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that happened, and
Yeah.
then I got into full-time performing, and so it's been a fun ride, a challenging ride, like a roller coaster kind of a ride,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure is for any independent professional
Yes.
in any profession, for that matter.
I know you performed more than 1,600 concerts. You were in 16 plus concerts, and
Yeah.
you have released many, many albums.
Yes.
And how successful you think you are commercially? It's a musician's life is very difficult.
Yes.
So you feel you are accomplished in a commercial success.
Well, I feel that commercial success is relative,
Yes.
because there is no sky is the limit.
Yes.
And so a certain artist may have an audience of 1 million,
Mm-hmm.
certain artists may have an audience of 100 million,
Yes.
and a certain artist who at one point had an audience of 1 billion might suddenly land up with an audience of 10 million yet again.
Yes.
So that's how it is.
The reason I'm asking, I know
Yes.
it's personal, but there are a lot of aspiring artists,
Yes.
and they may just want to do this for monetary purposes, right? That material success and all that. But I don't see you in that way. You see music is your worship,
Yes.
and the satisfaction it gives is tremendous. It does. You cannot buy that fulfillment.
No, it
yeah.
cannot. Music, the spiritual angle
Mm-hmm.
or the spiritual element of music
Mm-hmm.
naturally cannot be bought.
Yes.
And neither can the happiness which generates or emanates from that
Yeah.
can be. So one has to strike a balance as to how much money one wants to make,
Mm-hmm.
and how much, what kind of music one wants to make and create,
Yes.
and if at all create,
Yeah.
or just keep going with the boat and kind of not rock the boat,
Mhm.
so to speak.
I think you have a very blessed life, and
Thank you so much.
you are a very humble and gracious person. I have experienced that.
You're very kind.
And,
You're very kind.
The humbleness is the one which actually puts a crown on your head.
You're very kind. I'm so privileged to be sitting here speaking with you
I can
and your audience.
Yes, I can just have chat with you many hours, because it's a rare opportunity to meet with people who connect souls and hearts and create that harmony and the symphony of life. That's the essence. You are giving that to the world, and I'm very privileged to be sitting with you and getting to know you and telling our audience about you.